Hello and welcome to our last webinar of the year. This is really November's webinar, even though we're doing it in December. And we are going to be talking about holiday fraud and digital trust. We're going to let everybody get in here. It'll probably be about 5 minutes, maybe 4 minutes, and we'll kind of start back up. Looking forward to having this chat with everyone, and we'll talk then. Hello again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're watching this and when you're watching this. My name is Dave Alton. I'm the Chief Technology Officer here at SIR Inc. or Strategic Information Resources. And today we're going to be talking about holiday fraud and digital trust. And we want to kind of make sure that you're prepped and ready for how crazy the holidays get and how much fraud and, kind of just bad actors like doing bad things during this time of year. So who we are a managed service provider. We generally work with clients that are anywhere from 20 to 200 users. We have a team of 16. We're all based in, or our home base is in California, but we have techs all over the United States. And we provide comprehensive cyber-first approach to everything that we do. And we really, really try hard to make communication the foundation of the whole foundation of our organization. And generally, we try and make tech work, right? Like that's why we're all kind of have technologists and solutionists. Is we just want your tech to work. So that's who we are. This is who I am. Just a couple of highlights here. I am the CTO at SIR Inc., as I already said, but have been in cybersecurity and compliance frameworks for pretty much my whole career, living in insurance and manufacturing. And then I am a trusted advisor to a ton of small businesses. I do a lot of speaking for small businesses and making sure that they understand cyber risk and ways to protect yourself. I also happen to be personally a maker, so I've got a garage full of tools, woodworking tools, a 3D printer, a laser cutter, and all kinds of fun stuff that I get to go play with on the weekend. And I happen to be a proud dad of a 14-year-old baseball nut who is starting his freshman year of baseball. So we're having a lot of fun with that. So why are we here today? Well, I'm gonna tell a bunch of stories for the most part, and we're gonna kind of start off with why we see kind of fraud spike during this time of year. And the reality is that everything moves quicker, right? The year's compressed, we're taking time off. There's a lot of urgency to things that we need to get done and things that we need to do. I don't often watch 60 Minutes, but I happen to be watching it in October, and one of the Food Network guys and a gentleman by the name of Sammy Hagar from Van Halen own a tequila. It's called Santo. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but they own a tequila. And in October of last year, criminals had pulled off this like massive heist, and there was no guns, there wasn't any hijackings, the drivers weren't even really aware, and it was a $1 million kind of heist of tequila. And basically what they ended up doing was they created fake businesses. These shipping companies went out and rented websites and everything else, made it look like the logistic company that Guy Fieri's company had contracted with was shipping this shipment of tequila from Mexico to their warehouse in I think it was Virginia is where it was ended up going. And the shipment was late, and so they put in a call to the shipping company like, hey, what's going on? And the bad guy sent them a picture of the truck broken down, and the GPS was showing that it was on route. But it was absolutely 100% fake. The picture was fake. The GPS was spoofed. And it's crazy, but they never really they never saw these people face to face. They were never really doing business with them directly. It had all happened online, right? And so, during this time of year, we transact business, a lot more business in this last quarter, right? We're always kind of pushing to get those last sales and the holiday kind of done. And it can really happen to anyone. And in fact, Guy Fieri in the interview says, "Hey, look, we've got all these protections and all these different things that we do to protect our, online presence and our, operations." And it was debilitating, right? They had to lay off people right at Christmas time last year, and it was really kind of terrible outcome. They ended up getting some of the shipment back. It had been redirected to California. The drivers were interviewed and faced various kind of investigators talking to them, but they really had no idea. The drivers had no idea. They just were following directions on their logistics that had been kind of taken over by the bad guys. So again, it really is about taking a minute and slowing down just a little bit to make sure that hey, who I'm doing business with is actually who I'm doing business with. So this is another kind of story around charities. Last year, we had the devastating wildfires here in Southern California. During that, January to February timeframe, there were like almost $100 million in losses to scammers that were using that tragedy to, have people donate money, right? To, hey, we really need, help with this. We really need somebody to, help us, restore our lives and things like that. And the scammers were using, pictures from the news and from websites and legitimate kind of sites that were, GoFundMe pages and various things like that were trying to, help. And so, one of the things that you again want to do in this time of year is really slow down. If you're donating to a charity, make sure that you're actually donating to that charity. Make a phone call to the charity and make sure that this is who I think it is, right? But to have $100 million go to bad guys instead of the people that really needed it. It's a whole nother tragedy, right? So it's so easy to create a website now. It's so easy to kind of make things look professional. It used to be, the scammers would try and put a website up and they'd look terrible or didn't have spelling correct or grammar wasn't used right. But that with the advent of AI and how it has, really given the ability to kind of sound legit, sound professional. It's really hard to tell the difference. Delivery package scams. So I came across this stat in doing the research for this webinar that shocked me. So we don't have 2025 numbers yet, but in 2023, there were almost $370 million worth of losses from fake package scams, right? And fake package scams can be a bunch of different things, but we'll talk about a couple of them in a minute. But in 2024, that number had jumped to $470 million. So almost $100 million more and over 300,000 reports of that. And the issue is that it's wildly underreported, right? A lot of people just go, oh, I got scammed. There's not a whole lot I can do about it. They don't even call anybody. But it is the most reported type of scam to the FTC and to the FBI. There are also in 2025, there are a lot of confusion about tariffs. And so the bad guys have been using fake invoices to say, hey, that thing you ordered, right? And they're very nondescript. That thing you ordered now carries a tariff and you must pay, some percentage, right, of the purchase price. And it sounds legit enough, given all of the talk around tariffs and things like that. So it's really, really easy to kind of fall for these things. We've seen people get texts from what they think are the United States Postal Service. The United States Postal Service will not text you, right? Unless you sign up for one of their delivery kind of notifications, they're not going to text you anything. So having just the awareness of, hey, I'm not going to get a text out of the blue around a failed delivery, or I'm not going to get a text out of the blue around, oh, hey, I need to pay for this tariff. Those are going to be, some kind of scam. So just be mindful. Again, slow down. I know during this time of year, everybody's receiving tons and tons of packages. So it's good to just take a minute and think, is that really how this works? Is that really what I should expect? I should expect an invoice from Amazon for a $3,000 computer that I didn't order, or things like that. Just slow down, make sure that it's real, and oftentimes you'll find that it's a scam. Business email compromise. So I have two stories to tell here. I've told both of these, or one of these a lot of times, but I'll tell it again. But this one was from last year in 2024. A Connecticut business had sent $5.4 million in a wire transfer. And basically what it was the business email. There was a business email compromise. There was what we call a man-in-the-middle attack. So that's where somebody takes over a conversation by spoofing an email address. And spoofing just means I make the email address look really, really close to what I'm expecting. So a lot of times it's just one letter off, right? The domain changes by just a single letter. And it just shows that like it's really, really easy to kind of fool people, especially if it's an inline conversation, right? A lot of times these don't even look different than the conversation that you were having. The bad guys can put the email that was originally sent about some invoice or something like that into AI and say, hey, write a whole new email that sounds just like this one, but we're going to talk about this thing. And it's really, really easy to fall for this stuff. It's very, very difficult to tell that it's, fake. So we have a policy with all of our clients, and I tell this to pretty much everyone, is like, look, any financial transaction that comes through email, doesn't matter what it is, but any kind of financial transaction that comes through email, you got to call a known good number, verify what the email is, and make sure that you're actually, dealing with the company that you expect to deal with. The other story around this is it was a charity that was doing a bunch of construction work. The contractor was a client of ours, and they had the charity had sent to the contractor $170,000 payment for services. Right? They were doing a big project, and they sent this invoice over. Well, it turned out it was another man-in-the-middle attack. So they had kind of cloned the domain of our client, and then sent emails that made it look like these things were coming from our client of, hey, you need to pay your bill. And it was a real bill that was due, but it was actually the business email compromise was perpetrated at the charity, right? The COO of the charity had been compromised. They knew about this payment. They knew about what was happening, and they got in the middle of this. And again, in line, made it look like, oh, hey, send that to this new wire transfer. And what's worse was they sent that $170,000, and then about a week later, another charge of $150,000 came in. So this charity sent almost $300,000 in scams. Now, the second one looked funky, right? Looked different. And so they were able to stop that one. But they never recovered the initial $170,000 because they had waited too long. So again, take a minute, make a phone call. Hey, is this invoice real? Is this the actual bank account you want us to use? Oftentimes, it's surprising how often it's fake. Right? So take a minute, do some verification, and you'll be much better off and probably not dealing with a problem like this. Okay, so again, I do a ton of research on these topics, and I came across, I started looking for too good to be true deals, and I was kind of looking through a bunch of different things, and I found this bogus bazaar, and this was a fake shopping network that had been developed by the bad guys, and there were 75,000 fake stores that the scammers had built out. And then they are looking for you to either, pay for something that never is going to arrive, or they'll harvest your credit card information and then sell it on the dark web. Sometimes they do both, but it was crazy that this bazaar had been running for 3 years. The FTC, saw it. The FBI was involved with it, but it wasn't something that was easily, tracked or shut down. So, keep an eye out for those too good to be true deals, right? 90% off of things, 70% off of things. It's probably clickbait. It's probably something that isn't going to really get you what you want. And a lot of times, I use the old adage of you kind of get what you pay for. So if you're really getting that good a deal, it might not be that good a deal. It might be something that you're going to regret later. So again, slow down, validate that source, make sure that you're looking at the actual website and not a clone website. Anything that's urgent or expiring soon type of deal, take a minute. It may not be real. And if you put your credit card number information in there, selling that often, into the dark web, they're going to get your security code and your expiration date and everything else. So it's really important, make sure you're where you think you are when you do this stuff. So a lot of times we talk about, reporting and talking about how, see something, say something, but as IT professionals, a lot of times we can get caught up in that, oh my God, I can't believe you fell for that kind of attitude. And it's a terrible attitude. It's one that we shouldn't take, but it's difficult at times, right? We see this stuff all the time. It makes total sense to us. We know how the bad guys operate. So when we see somebody fall for something, it's like, oh man, didn't you listen to me? Why didn't you, pay attention to all the, cybersecurity awareness training that we've sent to you and things like that? And so we really want to talk about, hey, making a mistake is not a big deal. And letting us know, letting IT know, letting your manager know that, hey, I think I might have clicked on something. Is so much better than waiting around for, now I'm ransomed, right? So set up a culture that is, hey, it's okay to make mistakes. It's not okay to not be, not report those mistakes. There was a story from Reddit a couple years back where a Reddit employee, basically, gave out their passwords, right, and compromised some, gave them a compromised account, and they didn't hope that anybody wouldn't notice. They just picked the phone and called IT and said, hey, I think I made a mistake. The security team cut off the attacker's access. They were able to see what they were doing. They were able to, see that, client information didn't get out, no passwords had gotten out. But had they waited, right? A lot of times these things go unnoticed, and because the employees in a system of trust, and they're trusted in the network that they're in and things like that, it's really, really easy to, have a lot of data leave, and worse, lots of data compromised. I heard, or one other story about this is that our CEO, again, IT professional, career-long IT professional, super, super smart when it comes to security. But he got a link from our COO about new HR documentation. And the way he tells the story is he was in line waiting for something. And he sees this come through and he goes, oh, well, I'll take a look at it while I'm waiting in line. And he clicks on it and it comes up and he puts his username and password in and nothing happens. And he's like, that's weird. Let me do it again. He does it again from his phone. And he had given the attackers his username and password. Now, there were a lot of other protections in place. They weren't able to get in. They weren't able to do anything. But it's really easy when we're on our mobile devices and we're in a spot where we're like, oh, cool, we'll take care of some stuff. Sometimes it's tough on the mobile phones to tell, oh, I'm going to a bad website or I'm not in the place I'm supposed to be in and things like that. So sometimes it's better, hey, I probably don't need to look at this right now. I can probably wait until I get back to my desk and I can verify that I'm actually going to the right site and things like that. So again, it's a little bit of that slow down mentality that we've been talking about throughout and taking the time to kind of really go through and think, I can look at this when I get back, call the COO and be like, hey, did you send me something about HR stuff? And immediately they would have figured out, oh, this is some kind of scam or, phishing or something along those lines. But see something, say something has to be more than just a mantra that you say. It has to be something that you live. It has to be part of the culture. And be okay with people making mistakes because anybody can make these mistakes. Even, security professionals. I have lots of stories of security professionals who get caught up in I'm testing something or I'm doing something and they think they're in a different system and then suddenly, they're part of an attack or something like that. So again, take your time, be sure you're actually clicking on what you mean to click on and make sure that you're verifying what it is that you need to do. And then when it doesn't go exactly right, make sure you tell somebody. So how do we build digital trust? How do we do that in our organization? So one is really be transparent in our communications. Take the time to communicate with the staff why something matters. Have clear expectations around reporting. See something, say something isn't just something we say, it's something that we do, right? And everybody does it. Make sure that they feel safe in reporting, right? Don't make them feel bad or shamed that, oh my gosh, they did this, or I've seen it where the phishing campaigns. A lot of times those are fun, and there's a little bit of gamification with that, but oftentimes, like, oh my God, I can't believe you clicked on that. It doesn't feel good when you're the person that clicks on something, right? I've often been caught clicking on something that I shouldn't, and all I had to do was slow down and pay attention, right? And leadership should really take a big role in this. This shouldn't be something that's in just a handbook that people read. This should be something that's talked about all the time. Making staff aware, right? Really having proactive communication. Building on consistent habits and making sure that people are doing things the right and proper way, and then make sure that it's everybody's responsibility to protect the organizational data or your personal data, right? It isn't IT's job. It's not the CISO's job. It's not the CFO or the CEO's job. It's everyone's job, from the line worker all the way up, because if everyone isn't doing it, your security is only as good as your weakest link. So before the year ends, we wanted to give you some just quick actionable things that you could do today, right, before the end of the year, just to get your security maturity up a little tiny bit, right? It's all about increasing and getting better with your security. It's not, there's no like one and done, oh, I'll do this thing and then I don't have to look at security anymore. No, you need to look at security all the time, pretty much. So go in, take a minute, review access permissions. This sounds really boring, and quite honestly it is, but go in and look, do the right people have access to the right things, and do they have access to the right things at the right time? If you've got everybody having access to everything all the time, it's very, very difficult to know when somebody's operating in as a bad actor or something along those lines. Right? Make sure that your software and devices are up to date, right? Make sure your PC is up to date. Make sure Windows is up to date. Make sure your tablet and mobile devices are up to date. perform backups. I can't stress this one enough. When bad happens, because it does, you need to have a backup. So take that backup, right? Make sure that you're having, regular backups of your data. Take the time to inform your staff of any kind of seasonal scams that you see. You can go online and look up scams all day long, and they are like, hey, these are the most common ones and things like that. And then lastly, if you haven't put an incident response plan together, put one together. Bad things happen. Trying to figure out what to do when bad things happen is very, very difficult and challenging. It's much better to have a clear, straightforward document that's very directive at, hey, call this person, do this thing, make sure this thing is turned on. Because if you're trying to figure that out in the moment, a lot of times you end up failing and flailing around and trying to get through that. And really, those are that's really kind of the crux of the webinar and the meat of the webinar. So we'll open this up to questions. Does anybody have any questions? All right, we don't see any questions coming in. That doesn't mean you can't ask them. By all means, you can send it to us. info@surinc.com is a great way to get a hold of us. You can also call us at our support line, and we can help with that. So next steps. Don't wait to get started on this stuff, right? Your calendar is going to fill up fast, and every minute you wait is more time for the bad guys to get in. If you want a security strategy session, if you want to, spend 15 minutes with someone from our staff to kind of review where you're at in your security journey, we're happy to kind of jump on that. If you need somebody to come in and talk to your staff about security and security awareness and what works in your organization or not, we are happy to come in for those types of things as well. Feel free to use the link below and book some calendar time with one of our staff. I want to thank you very much for joining us. I know this time of year, it's all really busy. Slow down and try and enjoy it as much as possible. And we will pick these up in the new year. Happy holidays to everyone. And we hope you have a very safe and happy holiday yourself. And again, we will see you in 2026. Thanks all.